What does history tell us on the origin of Philistines? The word Palestinian and Palestine both are derived from Philistines. The root of this word Philistines, it comes from Egyptian Peliset. As we noted in episode 3, the Peliset were sea people who attacked Egypt in 12th century BC. It was not an isolated incident. Something important happened in the 12th century BC that changed the ancient world. Historians call this period the Bronze Age collapse or the Late Bronze Age collapse. The Late Bronze Age collapse affected large area of Eastern Mediterranean and the Near East, in particular Egypt, Eastern Libya, the Balkans, the Aegean, Anatolia, and the Caucasus regions, mainly the regions around the Mediterranean Sea. It was a sudden, violent, and culturally disruptive for many Bronze Age civilization. This brought very sharp economic decline in the regional powers. Several reasons: famine, mass migration, iron metallurgy, and so on. Several empires collapsed during this era. States of Hatti, Ugarit, Ashkelon, and Hazor were all destroyed violently. Whenever we discuss about the late Bronze Age collapse, we would always hear about sea people as one of the causes that contributed to the Bronze Age collapse. The sea people were not just on a military operation. The sea people were searching for a new homeland. The sea people were trying to find a place to settle. Only few empires survived after the Bronze Age collapse, like the Assyrians, Elamites, and Egyptians, and Greece went into a long, dark age. Now, who were these sea people? The sea people were not monolithic. They were made of several subgroups. Pharaoh Ramses III's inscription in Medinet Habu mortuary temple records several groups of the sea people. The Peliset were one of them. They attacked different parts of the ancient world and empires. They attacked Syria, the Hittite Empire, the ancient Egyptian Empire. They attacked Cyprus, and so on. They had superior weapons, and the empires fell before them. There is a group of documents called Alashia Correspondence. It's part of the Amarna letters. It tells us about the scale of the sea people invasion. So these letters contain correspondence between the king of Ugarit and the king of Alashia, which is Cyprus. So king of Ugarit, which is in Syria, was asking for help to safeguard his region from the attacks of these sea people. Now, Hittite Empire came to its end at the hands of the sea people, but Egypt was able to defend itself against the sea people invasion, and Pharaoh Ramses III decisively defeated the sea people at the Battle of Nile Delta around 1175 BC. The sea people, particularly the Peliset, were moved out of the Egyptian region, and perhaps with Pharaoh's consent, to settle in the southern coasts of Canaan. And they established themselves around the 5 major cities known as the Philistine Pentapolis. This fits well with the biblical description of Philistines as people who came from Kaftor or Crete from the Aegean islands. Now let's turn on to this important question. What do we know about the Philistine civilization and its eventual decline and demise? As we noted, the Philistines emerged in Canaan in 12th century BC, and they were eliminated as distinct people group by the 6th century BC. So when we talk about Philistine civilization, we refer to this period, which is roughly about 600 years. Philistines lived mainly on coastal regions, mainly in and around the 5 city-states. And also, they were trying to expand their influence over mainlands and the hill areas. So ancient Israelites lived on the mainland and hill country, and they pushed the Philistines back. So this conflict continued for centuries. At times, Philistines overpowered the Israelites, and other times, the Israelites kept the Philistines under their rule. Israelite judges like Samson struggled against Philistines with some measure of success. And the very reason Israel demanded a king was to lead them to fight against the Philistine threat. The first king of Israel, Saul, led military expeditions against the Philistines, but he was eventually killed in the Battle of Mount Gilboa. We can see that in 1 Samuel chapter 31. King David fought with them on various occasions and overpowered them. The fight between Goliath, the Philistine, and David is immortalized in the Bible and also in the popular memory. Philistines continued to wage war against other kings. King Hezekiah also fought and defeated them during his reign. Besides warfare, there were periods of coexistence as well. In archaeological sites, Tel Megiddo and Tel Dan, we can see evidences of Philistine and Israelite settlements in close proximity. There are instances where the material culture appeared to show a degree of shared influence. This tells us that there were also periods of interactions, coexistence, and mutual trade between them, and also occasional conflicts due to the nature of ancient societies occupying the same geographical region. Now let's discuss about the decline and the deportation of the Philistines. The Philistine cities were in decline by the time the Assyrian and Neo-Babylonian empires invaded the Levant. So these invasions weakened the Philistine city-states. The Assyrian under King Sargon II attacked and destroyed Ashdod 711 BC. Later, during the Babylonian conquests, Ashkelon was taken by Nebuchadnezzar II in 604 BC. The Philistine cities were destroyed and a large number of its population were deported by the Babylonians into cities across the Euphrates River. We can even see the name of the king of Ashkelon in the Ratian inscriptions of Babylonians. The king of Ashkelon was in exile and the Philistines were serving the Babylonian kings. There is no record of them returning back to Philistia and repopulating it, since they themselves did not have a strong association with the land, except it was their home for 600 years. Perhaps they blended well with the Babylonian society and disappeared as distinct people. So it is also reasonable to state that not all the Philistines were deported to Babylonia. However, Philistines never emerged as a significant political entity after this period. The Philistines simply ceased to exist as distinct political entity and blended into Canaanite and Israelite population. In the 4th century, Alexander conquered this region on his way to Egypt, but by the time the Philistines had already disappeared as distinct political and cultural entities. Thank you for watching this video. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe and support our channel.